Number 1. 1991 Toyota Celica GT Convertible priced at $2,500. Now here's an affordable little 90s classic that could turn into a really fun summer project. The 1991 Toyota Celica GT Convertible represents that sporty Japanese styling from the early 1990s, with smooth body lines, pop culture appeal, and of course, the joy of open-top driving. This particular example comes finished in black with a matching black interior, giving it a sleek and sporty look even today. The Celica from this era had a very recognizable design, with low proportions, clean lines, and that classic compact sports coupe feel, especially when you drop the convertible top. According to the seller, this car has around 130,000 miles and an automatic transmission, and while it does run and drive, it definitely needs some attention. The convertible top is torn, the paint has chips, and there are coolant and power steering leaks that will need to be addressed. The seller also mentions that the car vibrates a bit when first started but smooths out after a few minutes, and it still runs without overheating. It's been driven on short trips around the neighborhood, but the car will need brake work before it's really road ready. There are also a few electrical quirks like a non-working antenna and possibly the radio, and the frame does show some rust, so it's definitely not a perfect car. But for $2,500, this Celica could be a fun budget project for someone who enjoys bringing older cars back to life. Fix a few mechanical issues, replace the top, maybe give it a fresh paint job, and you could end up with a pretty cool retro convertible for sunny weekend drives. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 2. 1973 Oldsmobile 98 Regency Elite Sedan 4D priced at $2,999. Now here's a big slice of classic American luxury from the early 70s. The 1973 Oldsmobile 98 Regency Elite was Oldsmobile's flagship full-size sedan back in the day, built for comfort, presence, and effortless cruising down long American highways. This particular example comes finished in a bold yellow exterior with a matching yellow interior, which really captures that unmistakable 1970s style. It's big, it's bright, and it definitely has that old-school luxury vibe that you just don't see anymore in modern cars. According to the seller, this car has 69,460 original miles and comes with a clean title. For a vehicle that's over 50 years old, that mileage is actually pretty respectable, and it suggests the car may have spent much of its life being driven gently. Like most full-size American sedans from this era, the Oldsmobile 98 would have originally come with a big V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. Cars like this weren't built for speed, they were built for smooth, comfortable cruising, with soft suspension and that classic floating ride that made these luxury sedans so popular. The seller mentions that the car runs and drives great, which is always encouraging when looking at an older classic in this price range. With some light detailing, a bit of mechanical refreshing, and maybe some cosmetic attention, this could easily turn into a really cool vintage cruiser. And honestly, for just $2,999, getting a massive 1970s American luxury sedan like this is pretty hard to ignore. It could be a fun weekend car, a restoration project, or even a unique classic to bring to local car shows. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 3. 1962 Chevrolet Impala Sedan 4D priced at $3,000. Now here's a true icon from the golden age of American cars. The 1962 Chevrolet Impala is one of those classic full-size Chevys that instantly grabs attention, with its long body, clean chrome trim, and unmistakable early 60s styling. This particular example is finished in blue with a matching blue interior, giving it that classic vintage look that really suits the Impala's elegant body lines. Even as a four-door sedan, the 62 Impala still carries plenty of presence, and it's the kind of car that easily stands out at any classic car gathering. According to the seller, the car has around 100,000 miles and currently does not run, but it comes with quite a few important upgrades already installed. The car has received new floors, braces, a trunk pan, gas tank, aluminum radiator, headliner, engine harness, seat covers, power steering, shocks, body mounts, and a set of newer wheels and tires. Under the hood sits a 250 inline-6 paired with a TH350 automatic transmission, although the engine isn't running at the moment. The good news is that the seller is including a 1975 305 small block V8 with the car, which could make for a great engine swap if someone wants to give this Impala a little more classic V8 character. The car also has manual brakes currently, but a power brake booster is included as part of the project, along with a few additional spare parts that come with the vehicle. So while this isn't a ready-to-drive classic just yet, it does look like a solid project with a lot of the hard work already started. For someone who enjoys restoring vintage cars, this could turn into a very cool early 60s cruiser. And for just $3,000, getting a project-ready 1962 Impala with extra parts and a V8 swap option is definitely an interesting opportunity. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 4. 1991 Chevrolet Camaro RS Coupe 2D priced at $3,500. Now here's a classic piece of early 90s American muscle that still carries that unmistakable Camaro attitude. The 1991 Chevrolet Camaro RS comes from the third-generation Camaro lineup, known for its sharp wedge-shaped design, long hood, and that low, aggressive stance that made these cars so popular back in the day. This particular car is finished in black with a matching black interior, which really suits the Camaro's sporty personality. The third-gen Camaro has always had that cool street presence, with its sleek body lines and simple but muscular styling that still looks good even decades later. According to the seller, this Camaro has around 123,000 miles and has been garage-kept by the previous owner. Under the hood is a 305 cubic inch V8 with throttle body injection, paired with a 700 R4 automatic transmission. The seller mentions that the transmission shifts well and the engine runs pretty solid overall. Cosmetically, the top of the car is in decent condition with only some minor scratches in the paint. Mechanically, the car could use a little attention. The power steering pump may need replacing, and while the brakes are a bit soft, they are still functional. Interestingly, the seller says the car has actually been used as a daily driver for the past month, which is always a good sign that it's still roadworthy and usable as it sits. As a project, this Camaro has plenty of potential. With a few mechanical fixes, maybe a paint refresh, and some personal touches, it could easily turn into a really fun retro V8 cruiser or even a solid budget muscle car build. And for $3,500, getting into a running third-generation V8 Camaro like this isn't a bad starting point at all. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 5. 1987 Chevrolet Camaro LT Coupe 2D, priced at $1,000. Now here's a seriously cheap entry point into the world of classic American sports cars. The 1987 Chevrolet Camaro LT comes from the third generation of Camaros, a period when these cars had that sharp, aerodynamic design that really defined the muscle cars of the 1980s. This particular example is finished in red with a gray interior, a color combination that fits the Camaro's sporty character pretty well. Even after all these years, the third-gen Camaro still has a cool street presence with its long hood, low stance, and wide body proportions. According to the seller, the car originally came with a 2.8-liter V6 and automatic transmission, but at one point it had a 350 V8 installed. That engine, however, does not come with the car. What you do get is the automatic transmission, and the seller says the car can still roll and move around as it sits. The car does have some rust, which isn't unusual for a vehicle of this age, but the seller describes it as a solid, buildable project. And interestingly, the seller also has a good running 305 V8 available that could be included for extra, which could be a great option for someone looking to bring this Camaro back to life. On top of that, there are also a lot of extra third-generation Camaro parts available, things like ground effects, body panels, and other components, which could make restoring or customizing this car a lot easier. So while this isn't a running, ready-to-drive classic right now, it definitely looks like a solid base for a project build. Whether you're planning a V8 swap, a budget restoration, or even a track-style build, there's plenty of potential here. And for just $1,000, it's hard to find a classic Camaro project at a price this low. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 6. 1964 Ford Thunderbird Convertible 2D, priced at $4,000. Now here's a classic piece of 1960s American luxury and style. The 1964 Ford Thunderbird belongs to the fourth generation of Thunderbirds, a time when Ford shifted the car toward a more refined, personal luxury feel while still keeping that unmistakable Thunderbird presence. This particular deal is actually pretty interesting because it includes two Thunderbirds being sold together as a package. The main car is a white 1964 Thunderbird convertible, and according to the seller, the original interior parts have been carefully stored in the garage. Even the hydraulic system for the convertible top is included, which is a nice bonus for anyone planning a restoration. Design-wise, the 64 Thunderbird has a very distinctive look with its squared-off body lines, wide grille, and that iconic sequential taillight design that really made these cars stand out in the mid-1960s. And of course, having the convertible version makes it even more special. The seller also mentions that the second Thunderbird included in the package is complete as well, although it's unclear whether either of the cars currently runs. What's really cool though is that the sale also includes the original paperwork, which is something collectors always appreciate. With around 57,000 miles listed on the vehicle, there's definitely some intrigue here. Whether one becomes the main restoration project and the other serves as a parts car, there's a lot of potential in a package like this. For someone who enjoys classic car restorations, this could turn into a very rewarding project, especially considering the value and style of a restored Thunderbird convertible. And for $4,000 for the whole package, that's a pretty tempting starting point for a pair of mid-60s American classics. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 7. 1968 Oldsmobile 88 Sedan 4D, priced at $4,500.
Could run for a minute.
Now here's a big classic American cruiser from the late 1960s. The 1968 Oldsmobile 88 was known for blending full-size comfort with serious V8 power, making it one of the more underrated classics from the golden age of Detroit. This particular car comes finished in white with a green interior, a color combination that really captures that vintage late 60s American style. The body design on the 68 Oldsmobile 88 features long sweeping lines, plenty of chrome, and that wide, confident stance that made full-size sedans from this era feel so impressive on the road. According to the seller, this car shows about 50,000 miles and comes with a clean title. One of the most interesting parts of this car is what's under the hood, a 455 rocket V8. That's a legendary Oldsmobile big block known for producing a lot of torque and delivering that deep, classic muscle car sound. The seller does mention that the car has been sitting for around 10 years, so it's likely going to need some mechanical attention before it's fully road ready again. However, they've been slowly working on it over time, which suggests the project has already started. Driving a car like this, once sorted out, is all about relaxed cruising. Big seats, soft suspension, and that effortless V8 power make these Oldsmobiles perfect for long highway drives or weekend classic car meets. As a restoration project, this one definitely has potential. With some mechanical refresh work, a bit of detailing, and maybe some cosmetic improvements, this could easily become a really cool late 60s American cruiser. And for $4,500, getting a classic full-size Oldsmobile with a 455 rocket under the hood is certainly an interesting opportunity. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 8. 1955 Nash Super Statesman, priced at $5,500. Now here's something you definitely don't see every day. The 1955 Nash Super Statesman comes from a unique era of American automotive design, with its rounded body, smooth lines, and that unmistakable mid-50s styling that really stands out at classic car shows. This particular car is finished in white and, according to the seller, remains in all original condition. Even better, it starts, runs, drives, and stops, which is always a huge plus for a car that's over 70 years old. With only about 30,000 miles showing, this Nash could be a great vintage cruiser. Cars like this aren't about speed, they're about relaxed driving and enjoying a piece of automotive history. For $5,500, it sounds like a solid driver that could be enjoyed as is or slowly refreshed while still taking it out to summer car shows. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 9. 1979 Chevrolet El Camino, priced at $7,500. Now here's one of those classic American vehicles that perfectly blends muscle car attitude with pickup truck practicality. The 1979 Chevrolet El Camino comes from the 5th generation of the model, a time when these car trucks were everywhere on American roads. This particular example is finished in blue with a black interior, giving it a clean and sporty look. One of the things that really stands out on this El Camino is the set of large 22-inch IROC style wheels, which definitely give the car a more modern street presence compared to the original factory look. Under the hood, it's powered by a V8 engine, and according to the seller, it runs strong. Paired with an automatic transmission, this is the kind of vehicle that's perfect for relaxed cruising while still delivering that classic V8 rumble. The odometer shows about 85,214 miles, which is fairly reasonable for a vehicle of this age. The seller does note that the car carries a salvaged California title, but it's currently located in Las Vegas and they can even help assist with shipping if needed. Driving something like an El Camino is always a unique experience. You get the feel of a classic American coupe up front, while still having the practicality of a small pickup bed in the back. With a bit of cosmetic cleanup or personalization, this could easily become a really cool street cruiser or weekend show vehicle. And for $7,500, a running V8 El Camino like this definitely has some interesting potential. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 10. 1986 Chevrolet Corvette Championship Special Edition Convertible 2D, priced at $7,999. Now here's a classic American sports car that really captures the spirit of 1980s performance. The 1986 Chevrolet Corvette Championship Special Edition convertible was built to celebrate Corvette's success in racing, and it carries that iconic C4 Corvette look with sharp lines, low stance, and unmistakable sports car attitude. This particular example comes finished in bright red with a black interior, a classic Corvette color combination that still looks fantastic today. With the top down, it has that perfect 80s roadster vibe, low to the ground, wide, and ready for a weekend cruise. According to the seller, the car has about 60,500 miles and has received a long list of mechanical updates. Nearly everything mechanical has been refreshed, including new brakes, shocks, tires, fluids, and a completely rebuilt fuel system. It also features a Bluetooth radio upgrade, making it a little more modern for everyday driving. Cooling and comfort have also been improved with an upgraded 3-core radiator, dual cooling fans, and a completely refreshed air conditioning system that the seller says blows ice cold. All of this makes the car feel much closer to a reliable daily driver than a typical 40-year-old sports car. The only issue mentioned is the convertible top, which is new but still needs a little finishing work that could reportedly be done at an upholstery shop for around $500. With strong running condition and many mechanical upgrades already done, this Corvette could be a really fun and usable classic convertible. And at $7,999, when similar cars can sell for much more, it definitely looks like an interesting deal for someone looking to get into a classic Corvette. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 11. 1990 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe 2D, priced at $8,999. Now here's a sports car that absolutely screams 1990s attitude. The 1990 Chevrolet Corvette comes from the C4 generation, a period when Corvette design became sharper, more aggressive, and unmistakably modern for its time. This particular example is finished in a rare turquoise metallic exterior paired with a black interior, and honestly, it's one of those colors that perfectly captures that bold early 90s vibe. It's bright, it's unique, and it definitely makes the car stand out anywhere it goes. Under the hood, this Corvette runs strong and drives great according to the seller. It's paired with an automatic transmission, making it a comfortable and easy sports car to enjoy on long drives or weekend cruises. The odometer shows about 103,000 miles, which tells you this car has been driven and enjoyed rather than sitting and used in a garage for decades. Design-wise, the C4 Corvette still looks sharp today with its low wedge-shaped body, pop-up headlights, and wide stance that gives it that unmistakable sports car presence. Cars like this were built to feel fast, planted, and exciting behind the wheel. Driving a Corvette from this era is all about the experience, the low seating position, the long hood stretching out in front of you, and that classic American V8 feel when you hit the throttle. With its rare color, solid driving condition, and classic 90s personality, this Corvette could be a really fun entry point into classic American sports cars. And for $8,999, getting into a running C4 Corvette with this much character definitely sounds like an interesting deal. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 12. 1963 Mercury Monterey Breezeway, priced at $6,000.
So here I am in park.
Now here's a really interesting piece of early 60s American design. The 1963 Mercury Monterey is one of those big, stylish cruisers from the era when Detroit was experimenting with bold ideas, and one of the coolest features on this car is the famous breezeway rear window. This particular example is described as a very original survivor. It still wears its original paint and the original interior, which the seller says is in shockingly good condition with no rips or tears. That alone is pretty impressive for a car that's over 60 years old. The breezeway window itself is fully functional, which is a signature Mercury feature that allows the rear glass to lower for extra airflow while driving. It's a small detail, but it's one of those quirky design elements that makes these cars really special. Mechanically, quite a bit of work has already been started. The car has received new belts, a new ignition coil, a new alternator, a new starter solenoid, and even a new fuel pump. The brakes are working and all the lights function as they should, although the radio currently doesn't work. The seller mentions the car did run and drive before the recent work began. Right now, it needs a few things sorted out, including a starter issue, a snap tie rod on the passenger side, and some small adjustments like hood alignment and reconnecting the shifter linkage. But the good news is the car is reportedly completely rust-free underneath, which is always a huge advantage for a restoration project. With its originality, unique breezeway design, and solid foundation, this Mercury could easily become a very cool classic cruiser once sorted out. And for $6,000, it's a pretty intriguing project for someone who appreciates rare and unusual American classics. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 13. 1974 Plymouth Satellite Sebring, priced at $8,900. Now here's a cool piece of mid-70s Mopar muscle. The 1974 Plymouth Satellite Sebring carries that classic long-body American coupe design, with bold lines, a wide stance, and just enough attitude to remind you that this car came from the muscle car era even as the 70s were starting to tame things down. This particular example comes finished in bright yellow with a black interior, which honestly feels like the perfect color combination for a vintage Mopar. It's bold, eye-catching, and definitely not the kind of car that blends quietly into traffic. Under the hood sits a 318 V8 paired with a TorqueFlite automatic transmission and 2.76 rear gears. According to the seller, quite a few components have already been replaced recently, including a new carburetor, spark plugs, plug wires, ignition coil, and a high-torque mini starter. The car also received new tires and KYB shocks on all four corners. Inside, there's a new Bluetooth radio connected to upgraded speakers, which adds a bit of modern convenience while keeping the classic feel. The factory air conditioning system is still intact as well, and the seller says the compressor works. This car is described as a project rather than a daily driver, but it sounds like a solid base that's already had some important maintenance done. With its classic Mopar styling and V8 power, it could easily turn into a very cool weekend cruiser or a fun restoration project. And at $8,900, it might be an interesting opportunity for someone looking to get into a vintage 70s Plymouth with plenty of character. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 14. 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass, priced at $9,000. Now here's a classic American muscle-era cruiser that still carries plenty of attitude. The 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass was one of the most popular cars of its time, known for its clean body lines, wide stance, and that unmistakable early 70s muscle car style. This particular example comes finished in a bold orange exterior paired with a beige interior, giving it a really striking vintage look. The Cutlass from this era has a timeless design, with a long hood, simple chrome details, and a profile that still turns heads today. According to the listing, the car runs strong and the paperwork is all in order, with registration up to date. It's paired with an automatic transmission, making it an easy and comfortable cruiser to enjoy on the road. Driving a car like this is all about that classic American V8 feel, smooth acceleration, plenty of presence, and a relaxed cruising experience. With a bit of cosmetic refreshing or light restoration, this Cutlass could easily become a very cool weekend classic. And for $9,000, getting into a 1972 Cutlass like this could be a pretty interesting opportunity. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 15. 1973 Mercury Monterey, priced at $8,500. Now here's a full-size American classic that's been given a custom twist. The 1973 Mercury Monterey was originally built as a big, comfortable cruiser, but this particular one has been transformed into a lowrider-style build that definitely stands out from the crowd. This car is finished in green with a matching green interior, giving it that bold 70s look that fits perfectly with its custom style. The long body and wide stance of the Monterey already made it an impressive car on the road, but with the lowered lowrider setup, it looks even more dramatic. Under the hood, it's powered by a 400 cubic inch Ford the 5.8, and according to the seller, the car runs and drives great. It's paired with an automatic transmission, making it a relaxed cruiser whether you're rolling through the city or heading to a car meet. One of the standout features is the airbag suspension system, which allows the car to sit low and achieve that classic lowrider stance. The car also comes with new tires and a stereo system with two 12-inch subwoofers, adding a bit of modern sound to the vintage vibe. With about 85,000 miles on the odometer, this Monterey has clearly been driven and enjoyed. Instead of a full restoration project, this car is already set up as a custom cruiser that's ready to show off. And for $8,500, getting into a classic V8 lowrider like this could be a pretty interesting deal for someone who wants something a little different. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 16. 1974 Chevrolet Nova, priced at $9,000. Now here's a classic American compact that still carries a lot of muscle car spirit. The 1974 Chevrolet Nova is known for its simple, tough design and lightweight body, which made these cars a popular platform for performance builds back in the day. This particular Nova is described as running well, which is always a great starting point for a classic like this. The body has that unmistakable 1970s style with clean lines, a squared-off front end, and a stance that still looks right at home at any local car meet. According to the seller, the car does need some cosmetic work. There's a little rust around the wheel fenders, and the parking lights occasionally flicker, which will need to be fixed. The registration has been paid, but the light issue needs to be addressed before the new sticker can be issued. But overall, the seller says the car runs good and hasn't been in any accidents. So mechanically, it sounds like a solid base that just needs a bit of attention and care. Cars like the Nova are perfect for someone who wants a classic project with tons of potential. With some bodywork, fresh paint, and a few small fixes, this could easily turn into a very cool street cruiser. And for $9,000, getting into a running classic Nova could definitely be an interesting opportunity. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 17. 1969 Lincoln Continental Mark III, priced at $12,500. Now here's a true symbol of late 60s American luxury. The 1969 Lincoln Continental Mark III was Lincoln's answer to the personal luxury coupe market, and it delivered big style, big comfort, and of course, a big V8 under the hood. This particular example is finished in green with a matching green interior, giving it that classic, elegant look that fits the era perfectly. The long hood, hidden headlights, and sharp body lines give the Mark III a presence that still feels impressive even today. Under the hood sits the legendary 460 cubic inch V8, and according to the seller, it still runs strong. The car is said to be largely original, including the mileage, and it still features working power windows, power seats, and even the factory air conditioning. The chrome trim and original hubcaps are also still with the car, which really adds to its classic appeal. With around 95,000 miles and only 2 owners, this Lincoln sounds like a well-preserved example of a classic American luxury coupe. And for $12,500, it could be a great opportunity to own a big, stylish piece of late 60s Detroit luxury. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 18. 1969 Chevy Impala 2-door coupe custom, priced at $13,000. Now this is one of those classic full-size American coupes that never really go out of style. The 1969 Chevy Impala has always been known for its long, sleek body lines and that unmistakable late 60s muscle car attitude. This particular car is a custom build and, according to the seller, it runs and drives well with a solid rust-free body. While it's not a true SS model, it does carry the look and presence that people love about these cars. Under the hood sits a performance-built small-block Chevy 350 with a solid lifter cam, paired with a GM Turbo 400 transmission. That combination alone suggests this Impala should have plenty of classic V8 character when you put your foot down. The car has also received a long list of upgrades, including new PPG paint, fresh seals around the doors and windows, updated suspension with air shocks, and a full wiring loom. It's also sitting on BF Goodrich radial T/Redline tires with rally wheels, which really completes the classic muscle car look. The seller mentions the car is nearly finished and already ready to drive, though a few details like gauges and some trim pieces could still use attention. Overall, this looks like a solid driver-level classic with a lot of the heavy work already done. And for $13,000, this 1969 Impala could be a pretty appealing way to get into a big, stylish American classic. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Number 19. 1973 Dodge Dart, priced at $14,500. Now here's a classic Mopar that's simple, tough, and always fun to drive. The 1973 Dodge Dart is one of those compact muscle-era cars that has built a loyal following thanks to its lightweight body and strong small-block engines. This particular Dart comes finished in blue with a black interior, giving it that clean, classic street machine look. The body lines are simple but aggressive, and the stance of these cars always gives them a bit of attitude on the road. Under the hood sits a 318 small-block V8 paired with an automatic transmission. According to the seller, the car has received brand new suspension both in the front and rear, including QA1 front control arms, which should make the car feel much tighter and more responsive when driving. It also has a new fuel tank and is described as a solid driver. The seller does mention that the clear coat could use some attention, and the interior might need a little bit of work, but overall it's still in very clean condition. So for someone looking for a classic Mopar that's already running and upgraded in key areas, this Dart could be a really fun project or weekend cruiser. And at $14,500, it's an interesting option for getting into a vintage Dodge with real V8 character. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 20. 1966 Chevrolet Caprice, priced at $15,900. Now here's a full-size American classic that really captures the style of the mid-1960s. The 1966 Chevrolet Caprice was designed to offer luxury, space, and smooth V8 power, all wrapped in a long, elegant body that still turns heads today. This particular Caprice is finished in blue, and from the description, the body is said to be straight with an interior that's reportedly in excellent condition. Those big chrome bumpers, long body lines, and wide stance give the car that unmistakable presence you expect from a mid-60s Chevrolet. Under the hood sits a 327 cubic inch V8, one of Chevy's most respected small block engines. According to the seller, the engine runs strong with no issues in the motor, transmission, or rear end, which is always great news when you're talking about a nearly 60-year-old car. The car has also received some mechanical attention, including new control arm bushings and a dual exhaust system with new mufflers and pipes. That setup should give the car a deeper, more classic V8 sound when you're cruising down the road. The seller mentions the car is ready for a new home and invites serious buyers to come check it out and take it for a test drive. For someone looking for a big, comfortable American cruiser with classic styling and a solid small block engine, this Caprice could be a very appealing option. And at $15,900, it offers a chance to own a stylish piece of 1960s Chevrolet history.